officiating. There's the calls themselves. There's the hands to the face thing. I want to start with this because I saw a lot of heat thrown at the officials, okay? And I don't really understand it. I mean, I understand the third one where they took the challenge themselves, but bottom line, they got every single call in the match correct. There was no locked hands, even though there were 2 bricks thrown, but they had to look at those because the bricks were thrown. And then the third one, yeah, you could say don't make the wrong call there, but that was so daggone close. It was so close, right? Because Nick's hands were locked around the body because they were standing. Dayton did put his hand down, and there is a period of time where Nick is allowed to let go, and he did, right? So that shouldn't have been called locked hands, but it's literally as close as can possibly be to being locked hands and not being it. So they go back, and this is where you can say there were mistakes made because it took so long for them to figure out if Dayton was going back underneath. But they eventually got it right, and you could tell they were a little rattled when they gave the hands to the face, and then they wanted them to keep wrestling. But it all got sorted out. So really, it just points holes in something we've talked about. The review process needs to be a little faster. But ultimately, the right calls were made every step of the way. And while it was a fiasco and a spectacle, as Nick Suriano said, I guess you could say the right guy won, or at least you can say the right calls were made throughout the match. So I don't get all the heat being thrown at the officials because, I mean, this isn't you realize, guys, at NCAAs one time, the wrong guy won the match, and then they went and voted and said, yeah, that wrong guy really did win the match, and we don't care about it. That's the thing when I'm like, okay, the process is wrong. This is the wrong rule system. Ian Miller got hosed, right? This is not that. The calls were right, okay? It just took forever. It's normally not like that. And final point, and I'm sorry I'm kind of hogging this early, but final point I want to make here about the process is it's literally, this is not an indictment on the review process either. In a dual meet, each team has one challenge, right? They used them both in the same match, okay? And then, on top of it, the officials did something that we have said on this show multiple times. Go back and take a look. You have the right to take a look anytime you want. Take it, okay? And
they actually overturned the call, too.
And they overturned the call. So I just am not going to be upset about that. This is not an example of review gone amok. It's the worst possible example of every single way of the review process. This is worst case scenario. And even in worst case scenario, they still got the calls right. So I'm just not up in arms. I'm disappointed in the lack of offense. I don't know if it speaks to the incredible level of defense they got or a tentative approach, Willie. I'm curious for your thoughts.
Well, I'm with you. Being there on the ground, and with the crowd, 8,000 people there as well. Everybody in the building, I think it was more difficult for them to take in and absorb everything and look at it the way that you're looking at, which is, I think, the right way. When you're there to watch a match, and there's locked hands calls, and they're reviewing it, and it takes a half hour. You're like, oh man, these refs are taking forever, and oh man, it's a bad call, and this and that. But the luxury of replays and the luxury of an hour after the duel, watching it and watching the match and taking in everything, you can see that they got the calls right? Yeah. But in real time, you're like, wow, this is a fiasco. So yeah, I'm glad that you're defending the refs because they got the calls right. Now, what you're saying about offense, I think the take that a lot of people had was, well, they're not out there putting themselves at risk. They're not going for the win. They're playing it safe. They're not pulling the trigger. And while yeah, they didn't pull the trigger, I don't think that you can say to either one of them, based on their track record, that these are guys that play it close to the vest and are conservative. I think if you want to criticize Dayton and Nick, don't say, oh, well, they didn't pull the trigger, they went out there, they didn't do anything. Criticize that they didn't create openings or criticize that they couldn't create openings. Because from what I saw, it wasn't that they were scared to shoot. It's that there was nothing. They didn't set anything up to shoot. And so I mean, look at the match, and you tell me where there was an opportunity for those guys to have a solid attack.
Well, for me, I've watched guys get to Dayton's leg this year. I mean, Montori Bridges got to Dayton's leg on a couple occasions this year, right? Like, I just don't think it's a situation. And same for Suriano. I've seen better wrestlers get to both these guys' legs this year, right? Both guys.
Yeah, I know, but
I think it's a little bit of both. I really believe it's a little bit of both. I think there is some of not many openings, but I think there was Mike. So Mike's going to do a telestration on like why these guys couldn't score, right? And Mike can see things that we don't really see in the moment. I seriously think he can see things a little slower than I can because there's some stuff I just don't catch. Maybe that's more about me than him. But there was a moment where Nick was in. He had beat the head hands. He was head outside. And Dayton just kind of like stepped out of it, and Suriano just kind of backed away. I think there were opportunities on both sides, and there was just a little reluctance on either side. And for reasons I don't really know. I mean, I'm not judging it, but it wasn't fun to watch. I know that much. And here's the main reason I was so disappointed in the match was I love that all right, you know what? After Sunday, I'm going to know something. I'm going to know. Dayton's better or Suriano's better. At least he's better right now. There is no discernible skill differential whatsoever between these two, as far as I could tell. I mean, and the only reason Suriano had a slight advantage going into the second round of tiebreakers had they gotten there is because the kind of wonky rule situation where Dayton had to go back down after the bad locked hands call when he was clearly going to get out. But other than that, and I don't even know how much of a riding time advantage Suriano would have taken into the second set of tiebreakers. But basically, there's no difference between these guys as far as I can tell.
Well, I don't think that there was any discernible difference. I don't think that we learned much, and we can take anything away. I mean, actually, you know what I take away from it? I take away from it that I think that's the match we get if they wrestle again. I think scoring's at a premium. I don't think that there's. I think that's what it looks like when they wrestle.
Yeah, I mean clearly. I mean I would have said one takedown match. Well, I don't actually know that. I'd really think that, but I think you put the cap on takedowns in the match at one. You just don't see a scenario where both guys get a takedown or one guy gets two takedowns. I think you're right. It's going to be like, I mean, we have a lot of evidence now. We have like around 4 hours of wrestling footage that says these guys cannot score takedowns on each other.
The odd thing is, and you said it the last time when we were previewing the match, is that the Who's Number One match was from a few years ago, but what has really changed? So nothing really changed in the sense that there were like takedowns didn't happen, but at least at the Who's Number One match, guys were in on each other all the time. Yeah. In this version, they weren't in it at all.
No, and we didn't see Dayton. While what he may not have in leg attacks, he has so many other ways to score with his pass bys, boot scoots, inside trip. He didn't really get to many of those positions. Nick wasn't really, Nick wants to go to his left, right? He wants to go to Dayton's lead leg side, and it just wasn't there for him. And so, like you said, it's just kind of this is the match, right? And if we get it for the NCAA finals, I don't know what's going to happen. But part of me wonders.
Take it down all year.
Part of me wonders, and neither guy's been taken down, right? And they're like, well, it's not changing.
Not today.
They had a silent agreement. It's like, hey, man, no takedowns.
Keep the streak going.
I think my other thought is, at the same time, I don't know if we do see that match again because they're both going to go into it knowing if this materializes the same way, I am counting on a coin flip or I am counting on something stupid like getting two more seconds of tiebreaker riding time to decide the my NCAA future. I don't see either guy saying, sign me up for that. I think there can be a level of assertiveness increased.
This is why I'm sticking to it. When I say that it wasn't that they were scared to pull the trigger, it was that they weren't openings. that's why I think the match stays the same, because I don't think both of those guys after the duel and the coaches said, can't let it come down to that. That's not how the match. I want to score points. I should be able to score points. To me, that's mentality. That's not reality. The reality is that there wasn't openings. Both are so incredibly sound defensively and hard to take down. That's why they weren't taken down all year. And I don't think you can teach a high-level wrestler like Nick Suriano or Dayton Fix. I don't think you can force them to shoot when something's not there. They're not going to take a terrible shot.
Yeah, no,
Just
I agree.
satisfy a bunch of people that's saying they're not taking shots.
It's not about satisfying. It's about, this is what I have to do to put the power in my own hands, to control my destiny if I win or if I lose. If I don't shoot, I am agreeing to a coin flip scenario, or I am agreeing to let it come down to tiebreaker riding time. And I just don't see either of them subscribing to that at NCAAs. That's why I don't think it's about pacifying fans that want offense.
Not pacifying, but not this urge to
right.
Hey
put
man,
on a show.
I have to score. I have to score. I don't think you can. I don't think they're going to force themselves to take a shot that's not there. They're too good for that.
I agree. And another thing that became, we have been collectively discussing this the entire season, that the hands of the face thing was going to ruin a match. I don't know if you can say it ruined this match, because the match was kind of terrible before that.
By that point, the
maybe
match
you could
was.
say it was it euthanized the match, just put it out of its misery. But this is what happens. He went hands to the face, and what's really interesting, and once we get this Goodale mic'd up thing, he's talking about it throughout the match. He says,
he told him immediately, at first he
was
wanted it against Dayton.
Right. He's like,
and then he kept telling Pritzoff, he's like, Donnie, keep him out of the face.
He's like, Donnie, they're gonna get him. It's gonna happen. And then when it happened, he's like,
that's it, match over.
He's like, that's it, match over. Like he knew it was a problem. And one thing I wanted to ask Nick, wasn't there, be like, Nick, is it time? What adjustments do you need to make in? Is it your training, in your match performance, that you can't let a match come down to this? Like it's a vulnerability in his game that he's given away. He gave away a point, I think, against Ernesty.
Ernesty, yeah.
Right. So in these matches where points are at a premium, and it's going to be, I think it's something that he'll maybe have to start working on, right? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, what are you going to do differently? And I know it's something like, it's a weird thing to work on. It's not like finishing shots or like riding, but it's going to be something he cannot do against a few guys, or it'll cost him the match.
How about like the match is going on? There's this. It's 30 minutes long, and it's a debacle, and it's like, this is crazy, and then in overtime, boom, hands to the face, match over, and you were like, yes, that rule exists. How freaking fitting for it to end like this.
It was actually, in a way, perfect. It was just like the bow, the cherry on top of the crap cake we had. But
what did you make of? Did you think anything of both coaches kind of like sort of chasing that locked hands call?
It was weird.
I was like,
It was like they both went into it knowing it's like, I don't know. I didn't see locked hands at any point. It did get it kind of messed with my mind a little bit. They're like the same exact skin tone, so it looked like sometimes, like really quickly, they were
also playing that game of over, under, back, forth, back, forth.
The closest one it actually was one that didn't get challenged, and Brock Height put out a really good screenshot of it. It's in the third period, and it's when they're doing that, and he has a screenshot, and Dayton's locked, but it's like, is it, I don't know.
Now, in that scenario, I don't think
there is. No, there wouldn't be reaction time.
There's no reaction time.
Because they were on the mat the entire time.
And there's also the overlapping situation, right? Which is, I don't know.
The announcers, who I thought, the guys that did the announcing for Big Ten, the one guy was really good, I thought. But at one point, they go through this slow-mo replay, and they're like, right there it is. No, this one hand was Nick's and one hand was Dayton's.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
you're getting her
doing
hands
this.
wrong.
Yes, that happened, and it tripped me out too. I was like, wait, because I was like agreeing. I was like, yep, there it is. And I was like, well, that's not his hand. That's Nick's hand.
Wait a minute.
But it was weird when Nick sat out and it was like, ooh, I've never seen. It was almost like theatrical. It was like they were both trying to make a point.
Well, it looked like they were doing like a Rubik's Cube with each other's hands. Like
That's what it was.
they were both like.
Classic.
Yeah.
Sit out Rubik's
Can't
cube.
show the picture.
Hey,
but this
and
is-
not for nothing, but they got to fix.
That
There
could
was
be
a
anyone's
couple.
hand.
There was a couple.
you can see
There was a couple of side things that were going on. One, in a match like that, when it's obviously it's looking like it's going to come down to riding time in OT. Those clocks are never synced. Like at one point, Dayton rides for 10 seconds, right? And then there's a review and stuff like that. And then they go back to wrestling, and Dayton has 10 seconds riding time, but the clock says 18.3 seconds. That's literally impossible. There's a missing 1.7 seconds there. So point number one is those clocks got to be aligned to a match that comes down that's so nitty gritty, that's so down to the wire. And number two is they got to do something about the review situation that goes back to the overturned call, because Dayton was going to get out, but they called locked hands, and then Dayton did get out, but they reviewed it and overturned it, so Dayton had to go back down. I just don't like it.
What they need, it's tough because you want to say, well, let them go out. It's almost like in the NFL. It's like just don't
Let it
blow the
play out.
whistle. Don't blow the whistle. So if there's a fumble or whatever, let it play out. The thing is, okay, you say I locked hands. Well, I let go here and let him. I don't know. I don't know how you solve that. I agree, it's terrible, and it's not. It's a way that doesn't really align with like measuring skill. But I don't know how you fix it unless you say no review, which I don't agree with. I think you need review. So I don't know the solution. I know it stinks, but
Yeah.
I think that's the call. So everyone, I mean, Twitter was in fuego during this.
Yeah.
It was peak wrestling Twitter.
There's also like 3,000 comments on Instagram, and I know that Will's not happy about it, but just like the
Dude.
sheer volume of them was mind-boggling, and as well on Twitter.
Just
Instagram-
say no to
I'll tell-
Instagram comments.
I didn't
I'll tell
read
you
all of
what,
them. I was just like, holy
Twitter-
crap, there's 3,000 of them.
Instagram makes me love the wrestling fans on Twitter. Twitter fans, you guys are all right, especially compared to the backdrop of Instagram. Instagram makes me worry about the future of this country.
No, I'm Willie.
I'm dead serious.
I am literally right
But
there with you,
listen.
holding your hand.
Instagram people.
People of the gram.
When we put up the Suriano interview, people responded underneath. Nick Suriano says it turned into a show. People responded, well, what did you expect? Flo pumped this up so much. They blamed us. They blamed us for how that match happened.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm talking about not one or two people. I'm talking about this is what happens. They should have just shut up and let him wrestle. Flo should have said much about this match.
Good for them. It's a hell of a spin zone.
Hey,
It hurts my head.
it hurts my head too. We get blamed for DeSanto too. He mobs on Lizak a little bit. That's also our fault, according to some.
How is that?
Trying to get people to our site.
How is that our fault?
I'm not entirely sure, but it is. And I need
Are we moving on to the
No, we're not moving on. I just kind of wanted it was kind of a line. But another thing, what I was trying to say, Twitter was a flame. And what these crazy matches and sometimes things that we don't like to see does that, I don't know, annoys me, is anytime something happens, people use it as their opportunity. So the freestylers all use it. Here's my time to say this is why we need to do a freestyle. And during UWW season, anytime there's a bad call or someone wins by criteria, it's like this is why we need overtime. So every little thing is like an example or an opportunity for them to crusade about not what's right for the sport, but it's actually just what you prefer. But you like to hide behind this is what's best for the sport, so you can say it and not be honest with yourself and say this is just what I want to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's been happening quite a bit. So yeah, this is the rule. The rule stinks, but it's the rule. If they say going into next year, you know what, you can't line up on the right side on top and bottom, don't do that. You can't do that thing. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
Well,
but you can't do that thing.
So to me,
well,
it's
I hate the. Sorry, Dan, but I hate the constant. I hate the hands to the face rule. That doesn't mean anything, and just you feel as if they can call it willy nilly. Sometimes that's not a point, but other times it is.
That's a good point because both those guys went to the face the entire match.
There was a guy who was the kid at the Cliff Key, Las Vegas, where he went like this and never touched him. They were
it was a Clarion kid.
It was Balsick.
Yeah. So it feels very willy nilly. And
one time Brayton Lee tried to get them not give him a point for it.
It's like, nah.
He's like, please. He's like, don't do that.
The teamer match, yeah, that was awesome.
But I will say that, like, Nick was really in his. I mean, it was.
Well, yeah, it's clear. He can't. There's nothing to do about it. I mean, nothing.
What I'm saying is, like, they both did it the entire match. Mm-hmm. Like, just if you're gonna call it, they both were.
I didn't see that. I'm not saying it didn't. I didn't see.
When Goodell was asking for it, Dayton went to the face.
Really?
Right there at the beginning, yeah. And then I was watching the mic'd up, and it's pretty good. Like, it's a different angle from the live stream.
I think listen, I understand that it is not ideal that guys go, and we won't talk about this much longer. I'm sorry. All I'll say is this. I think there should be a warning. One warning, and then a point is way too punitive. You can run around and stall and evade for an extended period of time, and you get warned for that. To me, it's just too punitive. And it's not flagrant. It's not over the top. Anyway,
eat clean, bro.
Moving forward. Did you say eat clean, bro?
Yeah, dude. That's the only thing I learned.
I saw that. That was a very Jersey advertisement. So I don't know what this means. I don't know if it further cements in my mind that this will be the NCAA final, or actually makes me a little more nervous by the lack of scoring. But I'll still stick with it. We'll get DeSanto, Suriano this week. At some point, we'll have Suriano, Micic. That'll be
it's in February, I think.
Can't wait. So a lot more to learn. Not much more to learn about Dayton. I don't know how many more tests he'll have. DeSanto and Big 12s.
He'll have DeSanto and Big 12s, and if Gross is out, then it's just basically DeSanto. Oh, and Montori again.
He'll have Ernesty. Oh, Gomez.
Yeah, we've seen that, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Shut up.
Okay.
Matt Schmidt.
Maybe.
Oh, Mickey Philippi. This weekend he goes Matt Schmidt, Mickey Philippi. So two more ranked matchups.
I'm going Dayton next topic till NCAAs.
Okay, well these are all ranked wrestlers. Philippi is
GD Leach
ranked ahead of him going into this weekend.
He could be a tough. He's kind of like an optimized Luke Karam. We
just watched Dayton not score a point. You can't go next topic.
All right, fine.
Suriano majored him 8-0 for what it's worth.
FWIW. Yeah,
point.
I'm with you, Willie. But you know what?
But man,
I support.
Is
that match live on Flow? Is that at home or where's that at Pitt?
That is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But we have the Matt Schmidt match.
Are you going?
Heck no, I'm not going
there. Dude, you love it. Hey, Pitt is really quickly. Pitt is kind of killing it this year.
Doing very well.
They're undefeated. Now they haven't beat like a super elite team, but man, there's just a lot.
They're also like fourth in Vegas.
Yeah, they had a good Vegas.
Yeah.
No, they're coming along. They're not there yet, but they're coming along.
I know, but what I think is that I had a hunch that Gavin would do well. I don't know if I knew he would do this well. this fast. But we always say, Pitt's perhaps in the best area for wrestling of any team in the country.
Someone actually asked about that, Willie, last FRL. Like, that
Listen,
Whippeal's
Pitt-
like down.
Pitt, yes, true, but that's not going to last for long. Pitt is in a better location geographically, probably, than Penn State. They're in a better geographically than Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
I think, Gavin, with the work ethic and the way he puts the team together and changes the culture out there, they could be really good.
I like their staff. Lean, Headley.
They're also doing really good stuff on social media, which I don't know. There's value in that too. I don't know as far as building the team, but just like keeping fans engaged and putting out good stuff. Like, it's better to have it than not have it.
Amen.
That race around Pitt, that was cool. You guys see that?
I didn't see it.
It was pretty cool.
They did like a scavenger hunt around Pitt.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Berg.
Okay.
Well, we talk about guys sitting out. We talk about matchups that we don't see, but credit to like Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State wrestles a really good schedule. They travel. This week they were East Coast. Next week they're kind of East Coast too. Princeton has had an amazing schedule. I mean, like, you're seeing the graphics they're putting out about rankings, and Kolodzic has beat this guy, that guy, this guy. I mean, they went to Iowa, they went to Wisconsin, they went to Midlands.
On the Kolodzic front,
Hack tip to some of those schedules.
do we watch Kolodzic G and Ashnault G and say, okay, should we compare there, or is that stylistic? I mean, Kolodzic's been our number one all year. The guys look great, but remember, he needed late heroics to beat Ja'Cory Teemer too.
I don't know how much it says to me about like transitive as far as Kolodzic versus Ashnault. What it says to me is where G Feller is, which is a notch below those guys. But I don't think it says anything to me about.
He was several notches behind Kolodzic.
Man, Kolodzic finished so freaking fast.
Well, that's his thing. He's like one of the best finishers in the game. When he's in, it's like it's too late.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of. I thought
I don't know, but we'll see it soon.
for sure.
Kolodzic Ashnault.
Oh yeah.
Live on Flow.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Promise. It's at Rutgers.
Oh baby.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy got excited. All right. Iowa, Minnesota wrestled each other.
Yeah, they did.
Caleb Young hit a headlock so vicious that Steve Bly's face exploded.
How did that happen?
Kyle and I watched several times trying to figure out how he
No
came
idea.
up looking like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I think Young's chin, when he came down, maybe landed on his face. I don't know what happened because
his
when
chin
they were
scratched
locked
both
up,
eyes out.
what'd you say?
His chin scratched both eyes out. He was bleeding from both eyes. He looked like the Ultimate Warrior.
I don't know what happened, Willie. All I know is they're locked up upper body. Steve looks great. He comes up, and it looks like, I don't know, something from Braveheart. It was not good.
That was bad.
It was kind of awesome, actually.
It was pretty awesome.
Because he gets up, he lost, but he gets up like, whatever, shakes a hand like, oh, he looks so awesome. But, yeah, I don't know what happened there other than his face exploded. But that's not really the match. That was a cool moment. That match was otherwise quite boring. So Gable wrestles Connor Corbin, which
Didn't even throw out Costello.
I think Costello won the wrestle off to not wrestle Gable. That's my theory. But I don't know if that's I don't know what happened. But it was interesting. Corbin kind of hung in there as well as you kind of can, especially that's probably the fourth best guy in the Iowa room. He battled as well. I didn't think Minnesota looked amazing. And then wrap around 125, Russell, who got teched by Spencer kind of quickly.
Might have been first period last year.
It was first, or I think it was early second, but it was fast.
I remember filming that match, and they went out of bounds like 30 seconds in. It was 10-0, and I was like, ooh.
I remember I think he just missed like the first period. I could be wrong, but he's
All right.
absolutely smoked him. So what happened? He wins.
Into it.
He gets the first takedown, and then he can't turn him, can't ride him. I don't know. I'm not going to get into 33 yet, Willie. I think we need to discuss Spencer. Is it a continuation of maybe what could be described as a slump? I mean, is slump appropriate for a guy that just won a shutout over an All-American? I don't know. But relative to expectation and what we've typically come to expect from Spencer, I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it either. Although afterwards he did say, I mean, he had a quote that it was like, sometimes guys are working through things and no one knows about it, or something to that effect. So I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with him. Maybe is sick. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he didn't look great in the third period against McCall, and then the Midlands thing, and now a 4-0. It isn't the Spencer we're used to seeing, but the Spencer we're used to seeing is a Martian. Like, right. I mean, you don't tech everybody 15-0, so I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But yeah, the quote it makes you kind of wonder what does it mean.
How often do guys? Because so the reason he missed some matches earlier in the year is because he was pretty sick, right? How often?
Is that true?
Well, which one did he miss? Purdue.
Yeah.
Sure right. Wasn't that what they said that he was sick?
Yeah. Right. Sorry, I already forgot that. Flu.
Yeah. So my point is, how often do we kind of, and this isn't just specifically Spencer, but do guys have something that happens early in the season, and it compounds everything because you miss a crucial week or two where you're practicing at 50% or 60% or whatever, and it just kind of snowballs, and it takes you a month and a half longer than we think it should to get healthy. Is there something like that going on right now? Maybe
it could be that, and something we saw with Spencer is that even last year he was the tech dispenser last year, but he had ebbs and flows. But by NCAAs, he was absolutely optimized guy. So maybe he's a guy that just has a little more variance than the other transcendent dudes. Whereas a Nolf just doesn't maybe have that dip, but they probably have the same peak, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what it is with Spencer. And come NCAAs, he'll be optimized once more, and it'll be back to the just wrecking ball that he was a year ago. That's what I'm anticipating personally. Yeah. And I think just right now he's just working through a relative rut, and everything's relative when we're talking about Spencer Lee. So he wins, gets his hand raised, then 133 pounds. We think, we're not sure, but maybe Austin DeSanto got gassed up by a Twitter account that is not Ethan Lizak, which I find somewhat hard to believe because DeSanto's not on social media. Yet, maybe that makes it the perfect crime because you could easily convince him.
Someone told him about these tweets because as soon as the match ended, Nelson Brands was quote tweeting it and saying he chose bottom. Yeah. They knew about this. They all knew.
Yeah, they all knew.
So
that's why.
Did they not know it's a clearly fake account?
And then people on Twitter are why are we making a big deal? Lizak was the one talking crap first. It's guys, it's a fake account, and it's clearly look at. They were
read the tweets.
There were 8 tweets.
I tweeted something about the fake account being deleted, and somebody responded to me and said, "Oh yeah, was the Eggum account was the Eggum account fake too?" It's no, the Eggum one's real. A fake account.
He added Eggum. Yeah, you could add Obama and Trump. That doesn't mean so. We're pretty sure that they convinced him that Lizak, which actually, if that fuels you, okay, fine. I'm a little surprised. But 2,
that was the best he's ever wrestled on bottom.
He looked great. Lizak couldn't turn him. He had 2 chances and couldn't turn him. He got away.
Somebody needs to make a fake Suriano account right now. Maybe if you just make a fake next DeSanto's opponent account, DeSanto wins the Nationals.
There already is.
You just got to make them quick in case.
There already is a fake Suriano one.
Yeah, there has to be.
Nicky Nick or something like that. I've seen it before.
Man, that'd be an interesting. There's a lot of Tom and Terry Brands and Morningstar. They're great X's and O's coaches and developing the skill. But maybe it's time to,
think out the box.
Yeah. Give one of the freshmen, put them in charge of making fake Twitter accounts to pump up their guys. I mean, he double dog dared him to take bottom, so he took bottom. I don't know. It was awesome.
Nikki Flo.
Nikki Flo.
At Flo_Nikki, of course.
We are forever linked. So he wins. He gets a takedown. He gets away. He gets a reversal. Dominant. And then the time ticks down. And I didn't realize the firestorm I was entering by just tweeting that video, because I was like, everyone's seen this video. And all I was commenting about was that demonstrative kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, the Wildcat DeSanto. We hadn't really seen that guy, when he was winning matches, or he used to. Last year he was like screaming at the corner. He says, "This is what I live for" in the middle of a match. I'm here for that. I love that stuff, right? And so I tweeted that he's like a volcano. It's a matter of when, not if. Meaning, this is DeSanto, and he's going to do these types of things. And everyone, and I feel like I have to say, and I clarified that because I got some feedback from people that I really respect, that they were like, thought I was throwing DeSanto under the bus, which I was not doing. And I felt like I needed to clarify it because we've been very pro, hey, Gable's going to Gable. He's going to do some face mushing. He's going to get an extra shove, and he's going to do some things. What I'm going to say that it's okay for Gable. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? But everyone really got mad at what Austin DeSanto did and did not like it. And it didn't really bother me. And, now... I don't even know.
They equate everything back to NCAA's and what he did to Micic.
That was wrong.
I know, and no one ever has been like, I was okay with that. No, that is never okay.
No one was like, hey,
at
let's
the
hear him
moment
out.
we were like, God, what was that? That was way too far. And they were just like, well, we're just gonna continue to let this kid do this until he does it again. And
I'm okay with antics, right? I've always said I'm okay with Gilman. I'm okay with. Hey, I was okay with Ashnault,
Pew, pew.
right? I'm okay with DeSanto, except that I thought it looked. I don't think it had the cool points. It looked like with 3 seconds left, he was like, "Oh yeah, the tweets. I'm gonna party on him a little bit," and he's sort of like.
That's. I think you just described what happened.
And he's sort of, he was a little spazzy, but I don't know. I don't think the cool points were there for me. Now, some people are breaking this down frame by frame.
This is a Zapruder film. We need an alternative angle.
Apparently, there's screenshots that he spit on the mat. I thought that he would fake spit, but I think stuff came out and went on the mat. That's not cool.
I forgot, we kind of had a conversation before the season. It might have been a question from a friend about, who are the biggest heels. And I thought it was going to be Gable, just because I thought because he's, going to be number one and probably going to win. No, it's still DeSanto. It's head and shoulders DeSanto, by far.
Oh my gosh,
he probably shouldn't have bounced Lizak's head off the mat. I don't really like that. I'm pretty cool with basically everything. I don't really like bouncing a guy's head off the mat. And he probably shouldn't spit on the mat either. So that's not cool. Don't do that, Austin.
And then I'm okay with it. I never really understood this one, and it goes back to football. And Tyler Berger did it. But this one.
No, Montoya. Well, I don't know. Maybe Berger.
Montoya did it. Andrew Alira's did it. Who's one?
People get way up in arms about
Kyle,
the throat slash.
Wasn't that banned from football?
Yeah, you're supposed to be flagged if you do that in football.
You can't even do horns down in football.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
he did, at least he didn't. With that one, it wasn't, he didn't just viciously do it to the crowd or Lizak. He did it to his own bench. I don't know if that makes it any better, but it was just
I don't know, but it was
you see your boys, they were gassing him up. They were all cheering for him and everything.
How about the hand slap? He's like.
That was
yeah.
We tried to have LJ read his lips.
He couldn't. He said, "What?
What? That's good. We're trying to be Big J's here."
Yeah. My friend Terry Waters, if you know Terry, he was a mentor of mine back in Virginia. Great coach. He is deaf. He said DeSanto was talking too fast. He couldn't read his lips either. So we're trying. I don't know what he said. LJ said he said, you know me. I'm going to go talk to him. He's like, I don't know for sure. He's like, that doesn't really make sense. So we don't know what he said. I don't think it wasn't like, didn't look to be profane, but I am curious. It would probably reveal a lot to know what he said if it was like tweet related.
I bet it was. Like, it all makes sense. Him getting a little over animated there at the end, and then him talking to him. And also, why did Lizak just stand there?
He looked tired to me.
Like, he just like stood there and was like,
Lizak,
like just listening to him. Like,
Lizak
okay,
can take his medicine. That guy has been the victim of some beatings, and he doesn't. I don't know.
Well, that's another thing where that it all makes sense. Is why, and it's a fake account because Lizak is the most quiet, reserved. He doesn't talk often.
Yeah,
like ever.
He's kind of a shy guy.
Which is like, I promise you that account.
And that's probably why the account was deleted very quickly after the duel.
And you know what? Here's the other thing. I think some Minnesota wrestlers might have been. Well, they at least saw.
No,
it.
they absolutely were.
They were
behind
retweeting it and doing all this stuff.
No.
So they set your boy up.
They were behind it.
They did set him up.
Yes, that's why it was deleted. Is because they set him up. They got him partied on.
They're like, oh man, and they deleted it. You're right. I think
exactly
no, they absolutely did it because as soon as the tweets went out, the account had no followers, and they were retweeting it.
Yeah, we need to. They need a team meeting about this. Whoever made that needs to apologize to Ethan because it got him. It inspired us in DeSanto to his best bottom wrestling performance of his career. So, I don't know where else.
He's gonna continue to be a lightning rod the rest of his career.
Yeah, and to Nomad's point about it was Gable, and the funny thing was it was like Gable just had this upward trajectory of villaindom, and then Austin does basically nothing all year, and then boom, he just like laps him.
Literally,
he lapped him in 5 seconds.
Literally the day before, Morningstar was like, yeah, working hard, staying quiet. I'm not trying to throw Morningstar on the bus, but like literally the day before, he went on radio and said, like, yeah, Austin's doing well, and then this happened.
Well.
Everybody hates him. Everybody hates him again. Which again, like, don't spit on the mat. Don't bounce guys' heads. Yeah. I'm cool with a lot of stuff.
We need definitive video evidence that he did or did not spit.
I've seen it. There's a white
This
orb.
This is the Rondo Chris Paul thing.
So Rondo
from
Chris
earlier
Paul.
this year.
We need HD
they had
footage.
Rondo spit.
Rondo did spit on him.
Speaking of villains, I want to go to this. Why in God's name are refs allowed to take points away in dual meets? You can't. Bill Belichick can mother F an official, and they can't be like, -1 to the Patriots. Phil Jackson can make all kinds of sarcastic remarks, and NBA ref can be like, -2 to the Lakers.
Bear Bryant. Go Bear Bryant.
Bear Bryant. Yeah, okay? The point is, either kick him out, which they shouldn't have been kicked out for that, or it's nothing. Like, you remove the ability to take team points away. That is absolutely ridiculous.
We talked about this last year.
This has been ridiculous.
It could be pretty awesome. I remember we had a rules segment last year where we came up with our own cool rules.
Yes.
It's like one warning, and the next one you get ejected, like in baseball.
Yes.
And the coaches just go crazy, and it becomes a show, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah. They should.
You know what I hate about the point? That's a good point, Nomad. In no other sport do they take points away. But what I hate about wrestling is when they take a point away, then if it really comes into – so it doesn't matter. If they take a point away, it doesn't matter. Unless it's tied, in which the first criteria is how many points were taken away.
Yes.
It's like the only reason we're here is because you took a point away.
There was
so
someone,
it's double.
Someone was tweeting us like, Axel and G-Feller should both be suspended for what they did. And I was like, shut up. No, they did. Like,
dorks.
Scott Goodell had the best, like, summation of everything that happened.
He really did.
It was awesome. We need to upload it. Or it's on the
What, his
site, but,
press
like,
conference?
upload it. Yeah, but upload it to social media. He was like, Anthony likes to have fun. I don't know. He was just messing around with the Cowboys, and he was recruited there. He has utmost respect for Oklahoma State. He knows all those coaches, and you know what? Good for that guy for standing up for his team.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
a
like
show.
he's like, it's not a big deal. Let's move on. And that's all it is.
Yeah. Hey, Big Ten wrestling fan. Is that who?
Yes.
What
yes,
his handle is on Twitter?
Yes.
He needs to quit. He needs to just. He needs to just shut up. He just needs to shut. This is what's wrong with the world today. Is that everybody has a damn voice. What you need to do,
That's the main problem.
social media lets everybody have a voice. You could be, I don't know, you could just have learned how to speak. I mean, there's cats on Twitter, but instead of talking stupid, and every take that Big Ten fan makes, I think is stupid, right? So I think he needs to shut. I would mute my account and watch wrestling for like a couple years and then come back and then be like, oh, okay, you're good now.
Yeah, that's sort of the point I made last show. I think you made it better, but yeah, it's like, to speak with such purpose and authority, you expect some level of like education about the topic at hand, and we're not seeing that routinely. So yeah, I didn't think Ashnault should I don't know. But to me, here's the thing, I don't know. An open shove is like a lot more aggressive than probably what DeSanto did, which was kind of like within the lines of wrestling.
Nope.
You don't think so?
DeSanto bounced his head off the mat.
It's not
And
much
spit on the
different than a
mat.
face mush.
No, face.
That's just an accelerated
face mush. I'm
mush.
just going. He's bouncing his head off the mat like that. That's not cool.
When
Gable
you
did that.
I'm against that.
Yeah, Gable did the exact same thing.
The
And
exact same.
He bounced his head off the mat.
Yes,
Sure, absolutely.
come on, man. When you run out front and you like face mush somebody, you're bouncing their head off the mat.
No, you're holding it down.
When you initially put your hands on them, you push their head into the mat.
Okay, push your hand on the mat. He was going like this, like bouncing like a basketball. There's a difference.
He did it twice.
There's a difference.
Let's not
It
over
was a
exaggerate
double
what
dribble.
it was.
It was a double dribble.
Yeah.
If anything, they should have called
I
that.
don't know. The bottom line for me is the Ashnault G Feller thing. It lasted 3 seconds. Nobody got hurt.
Right.
Who cares?
Okie doke.
So if somebody had gotten hurt,
All right, here we go. Yeah, no one got hurt. Okay. Penn State also wrestled twice, actually.
2 times.
And I think they look sluggish, right? They didn't look as good. And so I was like, well, this happens to them. And I went and looked, and we had this exact same conversation after the Michigan duel. And I was like, I wonder when the Michigan duel was last year. And it was January 12th, exactly 1 year and 1 day before the Wisconsin duel, where they didn't look great, where Tristan Moran beat Nick Lee, where Cole Martin beat Brady Berge. They didn't look, like the complete optimized axe murders. So to me, the only take is the Penn State staff and team program is right now, bottom line, the best at peaking, periodization, whatever you want to call it. And that just shows they're probably right on track. This is a point in their training and competition where they're probably looking to see a dip, and they're going to ramp up again and up till Big Ten's NCAAs is my theory, right? And I think it's funny that those duels would happen 1 year apart from each other. Two very different teams. Michigan was better last year, and that was the match where, if you remember, Pantaleo took down Nolf, I think, twice.
That was the.
And then chose
take
bottom and got
thing.
ridden out.
And the Abinator.
Nickel was crazy. And, Massa Chenzo, I think, is always going to be probably somewhat close. I think Mark and Amin, Mark won, but
close.
I think it was close,
I
right?
believe that was riding
It
time
came down
as
to
well.
riding time.
Yeah.
Riding time. So, they didn't look great. They didn't look great in that match. So, and they didn't look great here. To me, I don't know what you take from it other than, you look at Nick Lee and Tristan Moran. I'm going to take the guy that's getting the legs consistently, and those guys wrestled 10 times. It's probably 8-2, 7-3 for Nick Lee, in my opinion. I just don't think it's replicable to counter your way. Now, the last takedown was true offense for Moran for the underhook and throwing the boot in. But
They were very mad about that one.
who?
The Penn State kids behind me. They were just because he had the wizard and they didn't understand the far leg.
Well, then
Yeah.
they should watch Bo Nickel, Gabe Dean NCAA finals, because that's the exact same way he scored.
There's a couple things with that though. So the being a year apart thing. So it's like, okay, does that second week of January or whatever, is that in their training plan? That's a week where they just go hard, and so therefore, basically they train through a meet, and there's no tapering whatsoever. So they're going to look kind of bad there. There's also the Big Ten didn't really do them any favors, and this is like any team, like going to Chicago and then having to come back, like having a home and away or away and home is also really weird. And so then that brings into question if it's like part of their training thing. Was Kale playing possum in the presser because he repeated like over and over again? He's like, like that's on me. Like their performance was on me today. We underperformed because I didn't have them prepared, and or I overtrained them or da da da. So like he kept saying that, and I mean maybe he was playing possum, right? But it was just interesting that he like kept talking about I basically like I wasn't happy with the way this went because of things that like I and my staff did.
Well, I think he's gonna stand out in front for his team.
Sure,
so it's not terribly surprising, and I think it. Who knows? I think it was probably somewhat by design. Now you never say, "Hey, let's lose matches,"
right?
But it's like you accept that. Okay, there's going to be some duels where we're not at our best, and it's going to be a byproduct of the training that they're doing. So that was my thought.
Also, Wisconsin wrestled well. They wrestled hard. Now, not every match, obviously, but there's a good number of matches where they came ready.
And here's the other thing. The Berge match, I mean, he's up 6-2. 3 takedowns, no problem. First period, you're like, well, this is over. Wake me up. And then I don't know, it seemed like he kind of hit a little bit of a wall there, and Cole Martin kept coming. The headlock from the counter, he just kind of got stuffed and run over. That surprised me. So, I just think...
Well, with Berge,
one of those matches.
I mean, so you talked about, or the whole show we talked about this, right? Like, after the scuffle and after some matches, we're like, this is who Berge's going to be, right? We anticipate, we feel pretty strongly that he's going to go up in weight next year, and that because of that, he's going to be a little more conservative, and he is a little more conservative anyway in terms of he's mainly retech, go behind stuff. And so the one time that he is offensive early on, maybe it wore him out a little more than he expected, and the whole rest of the team already looked a little worn down anyway.
And I didn't even consider the cut. Again, we kind of haven't really seen the kind of negative impacts of, like, it's just hypothesis, but that, we think he's pretty big for the weight and that the cut is a thing for him. So it would make sense that he would potentially fade a little bit, especially off, the weekend and the training cycle. So maybe it was a confluence of things. But give credit to Wisconsin. Man, I was really excited about the Bo Bresky-Bo Nickel match just because it was so – I was really hoping for the decision there because obviously I'm going to win a chicken bet with Kyle Brackey because he says that Bo Nickel will bonus the rest of the season. It's simply not going to happen. It almost happened against a 74-pounder named Bo Bresky. But
I can't wait for it to happen and to party on you.
It's not going to – he is going to have a decision. But what I was going to do, because I was so excited, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer him double or nothing right now. I'll say, you know what? You can just wipe the slate clean, and I'll give you another one. But there'll be another 3-piece involved. But I didn't get to do that because Bo found a way to get the major decision. It was theorized by some of our friends who asked questions that, does Bo Bresky listen to FRL, and tried to help me out. There's been no communication.
The entire match.
There's been no communication between myself and Bo Bresky.
Bo Bresky is small. Like,
Yeah.
I know we thought that, but
Coming
man,
from Nomad.
But like, it's just like, good Lord, McDonough. He's like, wow, we've had him for a month. We're gonna bulk him up. Okay.
Badger bulk job?
Badger bulk job.
All right.
Badger Max.
They need a lot of Badger Max for Bo Bresky. So that was that. That was Penn State. Willie, I don't know if you have any Penn State, Wisconsin thoughts or
I
reflections.
don't. I really didn't. I want to watch the matches.
Yeah, you
I
should.
haven't gotten around to watching them yet, but I have no concerns. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change anything.
Same here. Okay. Well, that was good. Let's get to
Use Mavs.
some
We're not
questions
going to
from
talk
friends.
about like Nolf Deacon,
Oh.
Shinzo not wrestling.
I guess, yeah, we should talk about that. So Nolf Deacon was next topic. Jason Nolf, he smashed. I didn't think it would be a major, and it was. He won by 9, and Yeah, he is so much better than everyone at this weight class. Cancel 157. And
He just turn it on when he wants to, because it sure looked like that.
Yes.
yeah, I think probably so.
Or like when he wants not, like to be serious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like.
Well, I think sometimes he's playing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and like,
against other opponents.
and
Yeah.
then that was like, all right, I'm gonna like send a message here.
It was really interesting to me, the third period, because it was just clear that Deacon's mindset was like, I don't care how many stall points I give up. Like, the moral victory for me is to hold him down for the entire period.
And he got called for locked hands. Like he was literally just locking his hands.
He's
keeping
like,
him
he's
down.
not getting. I don't care what it takes. I'll get kicked out of the match before I allow him to escape. Like, all right, man. Sometimes you got to make those little challenges for yourself. Like, that was
Yeah.
interesting. Although, so Ben Asker made a point about this is a mean Facundo, and I agree with it because I called it on Deacon too. When the other guy is standing, when the guy on bottom is standing up, and the other guy is behind him and not trying to make a return, but the other guy's all just kind of like doing this, like looks like he's floating in the water. That's a stalemate. You're not stalling if the other guy's making no attempt whatsoever to get out. Not moving with the hands. He's not moving his feet. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm floating in the water.
I hate that crap because the guy gets to their feet and then it becomes the top guy. Yeah, he is supposed to return. But there are things you can
Bottom
do.
guy's supposed to get out too.
Well, there's some things you can do from standing if a guy's behind you to prevent him from returning you, but also prevent you from even being released, right? When they're grabbing at the hands and stuff. So there's some trickeration that can go on there that I don't really like. But yeah, with Nolf, he's the man. I don't know. Who wants second?
He has Berger this week, so
Jeez.
it'll be the
One versus
number
two.
two, number three guy. Yeah.
So
He did once upon a time beat him, which we're just required. We're legally
we have
obligated to mention.
We have to say
Yeah.
that he beat him at
The last-
2011 Flow
Yeah.
Nationals.
Just-
The last three meetings, I believe, 3 matches ago was a tech. The last 2 have been 8-point majors.
Okay. Now, then we know no Chinzo. What
No
do we
Chin-
make of that? I don't know. He didn't wrestle either match this weekend. I don't know why.
So he didn't weigh in on Sunday, aka not yesterday. Today's Tuesday. He didn't weigh in on Sunday. I have no idea if he weighed in or not on Friday, but he was supposedly there at Northwestern. Jeff Byers was saying on radio that he will definitely be back next week. He was listed among the probable starters for
Wisconsin.
Friday, Saturday. He was on the poster that they gave out to all the fans. He was on the header of all of of like a couple of their stories that they put out. Like he was like the banner pick. So I don't know, but he wasn't there. And Kale said when he feels well, he'll wrestle. So
There you go. What else do you need to know? So maybe that means he didn't feel well.
yeah,
Get well soon, Vincenzo.
Cues from F.
but it didn't sound like it's gonna be a long-term thing.
Of course. All right.
Hey, shout out to the Qs. No, shout out to the Fs.
Shout out to the
no,
question.
shh, quiet.
You can try to get your way back in.
'Cause here's what you're gonna do.
No. Listen, I don't care. I don't care about answering the question. But I do want to say good job by the Fs this week because they went more comedy than actual trying to like stump us or
They're
come up
often funny.
Thank you for your input.
Thanks. No one cares. They're always funny. But I love, if this a few good men
hilarious,
thing,
friends.
we had quite a few good men references. I'm loving it. First of all, it's so hilarious that movie is coming up because it's one of the few movies.
It's a very good movie. I tell you, I don't want to tell you, but I'll tell you. Me and Christian are sort of obsessed with Tombstone. So if you can ever get some Tombstone stuff in there, you're likely to get on.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I kind of want. It would kind of be funny if it's a few good men because someone asked if I just need to find the question, but hold on. Would it have helped Suriano's case if Demi Moore had been there to strenuously object on his behalf? That is freaking great. That is great. No, Demi and I, as I said, Demi wasn't there. The day they taught law at law school. All right. So thanks to the questions from friends, they always deliver. There were a lot of good ones. Someone asked if Chinzo struggles with weight. I have no idea. That has been theorized, but is only rumor. So I have no idea.
Is that theorized because of one time at the scuffle?
No, that's not why. But
Okay.
yeah, when he was trying to make
No.
49, that was a problem. But
It
Oh,
was.
that's right. He was listed at 49.
yeah,
There was
First
a
year he
rumor
won.
2 summers ago that Vincenzo got very, very high in weight, and that's where this all comes from.
yes. Like after he won as a freshman, he got large, which happens to most guys. But
Yeah, that's not really
he may have
unusual.
gotten especially large, but doesn't matter. He'll be fine when it matters. Okay. This was actually kind of funny because I don't know if he's being funny or not. But Michael Jarman asks, have you ever thought about doing live phone calls from friends with questions?
I think he's being serious. I don't think.
I think he's
So,
being serious.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think-
he's probably being serious. So the longtime listeners all know that this is a very funny question to ask. But to you, we are adding, and you know what? That brings up a good point. Something we never do on this show is talk about how you can consume this show. If you did not know, this show is live streamed on the site, FloWrestling.org, typically on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, okay? And you can also download and subscribe on iTunes. You should all do that.
And maybe Stitcher.
Stitcher.
And,
Stitcher.
yeah.
So Stitcher for you Android users.
We should get on Spotify.
So we should say that more. I listen to other podcasts. They say that all the time. We don't ever say. So there's other ways you can listen to this because sometimes people will be like, I don't know. I think the medium they use is like the only medium they're aware of. So lots of different ways to listen. But anywho, we did take calls from friends one time, and it was the second show ever, and someone prank called me. And if you ever see, we ask questions from Johnny from Roanoke. It was a guy who went under the pseudonym of Johnny who asked me a very vulgar question that will live in infamy. That
How many bleeps do you bleep?
how many bleeds do I bleed? I think it was a day.
Yeah, I think it was per day. Yeah.
Per day. He wanted the per day ratio. So we hung up on him. We took a couple more calls that show that were okay.
We're fine.
They were fine. And then we said, all right, we'll never do this again. And we sure enough haven't. I think this is a little safer way because you know exactly what's going to happen. It's very easy to get through a screening process. All you have to do is have a real topic and say that's what you want to talk about.
I want
And
to talk
then-
about Chenzo not wrestling. I want to talk about whatever. And
Okay.
then,
All right. What's your question, man?
ACP, go bleep yourself.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. And it would happen so much. So
Yeah.
that's why we're probably not going to do it. Maybe we'll have to really know the person. So probably not. Other questions. If Oklahoma State and Iowa combined teams, could they beat Penn State in a dual meet? Well, I think so.
Pitch.
Well, Spencer.
Spencer.
Think
Oh, Oklahoma State now. Yeah. Sorry.
So Spencer would beat Schnupp. Mm-hmm. Feel safe there.
Yep.
33, Dayton over RBY.
Yep.
41, yeah, it's tough.
I'll go Nick Lee.
So there's one for Penn State. All right, 49 for sure. Yeah,
49,
G would be
I
G
feel
feller.
G feller.
yeah,
Yeah.
G. Okay, wait, so that's still just 1 minute. Now here's trouble. 57, 65, 74, 84,
84 is Wilkie or
97.
Jacoby, yeah.
No,
Nope.
there's 6 right there.
Sorry.
We did our best. And Kassar White is White's better or White won,
Negligible. Yeah.
but that could be close. So no, I don't know if there's any combination of two teams that could beat them in a duel, at least on paper.
Maybe.
When you have it's really tough.
Maybe Russia and Iowa.
Maybe you get Osedia involved.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't think that would be the thing. Okay. Who can we get an update on unresolved Popeyes wagers? Well, Willie owes me chicken for Cassiope, and it's TBD for.
So he owe you something?
Oh yeah, he still owes me chicken from a year ago.
I refused. That was.
I had one
contingent.
chicken bet ever. It was between me and Nomad, and as soon as we got back from Big Tens, I took him to Canes
Yep.
because I'm a man.
Yep.
What was the?
He welched on
That
his
was
big time.
What was
Completely
the, what was the
contingent.
one that Nomad welched on?
We need to go back and find it because actually you admitted afterwards that you lost the bet, but then now you're just.
I
totally
lost the
welching.
bet because they changed the seeds on me. It was entirely bracket based, and then somebody didn't show up.
We've got.
So you said that somebody would beat somebody, but
guys.
I said that old
remember
man
what the
Andy
bet was.
Simmons
Oh yeah.
would place above his seed at the U.S. Open.
And he didn't.
And then they changed his seed.
And he didn't.
And he didn't.
Yeah, but it was something ridiculous, like he'd make the finals or something.
No, it was not that he would make the finals. It was that he would place above his seed, which was like 5.
4.
It was like, yeah, and then he was gonna wrestle for
And I
third.
think they probably changed his seed.
Didn't they move him down one?
Yeah.
No, they moved him up. Because
I don't
it
think
was
that's
because
true.
it was bottom.
Yeah,
It was
I don't know.
bottom.
This
side.
is
It
not
was
the
bottom
bet.
side.
This
Yes,
is
it
a
was.
lie, and it's not the bet. I need you. I need your help right now, wrestling faithful.
That was the bet.
Go back and find this episode. It should have been in April of 2018.
I broke it down. I said like, this is how the seeding's gonna be. This is what's gonna happen, and then he's gonna end up beating a seed.
There's no way that was the details of this.
Exactly what
I'm
happened.
looking to you guys. Find that footage. Get me some more chicken. We burst at the seams with all the chicken. I'm gonna win. Getting sick of all this winning. Okay. What is the biggest conspiracy? Area 51, Malaysian Airlines flight MH370, Mothman, or Shakur's ranking?
Scores ranking.
Shakur's ranking.
Clearly.
This goes straight to the top.
Yep.
If you can't figure out Shakur's ranking, I feel sorry for you.
I like that Shawn Myers was there.
It does. He has Vince this week, so.
That'll help. Vin's, man. So there was a time we were supposed to have the UNI Nebraska duel on, on Flow.
God.
I am so glad that it wasn't because everyone would have been so furious with us. They did this gymnastics thing alongside of it, right? And basically during the best moments of the match, they would switch to McKenzie on vault. It's like Vince put Foster on his back. It's like maybe the biggest match of the duel. You don't even see it. But the
Dude,
guys are
that-
talking about what's happening while, you
My
know,
God.
it was horrible.
It's really
That-
ugly.
and the
We dodged
cadence-
a bullet there.
Oh, it would have been, how bad would that have been? We would
The
have been
cadence
ripped. There's
of
nothing we could do
them-
about it.
Oh, man.
They increased how many times they went to the gymnastics side of things, like right at the two best matches. Lujan and Labriola and Foster and Venz, they were on gymnastics more than they were. I was like, okay, Sienna got a 9.7 on Beam.
Yeah. I was like, all right, let's go to Jessica's floor routine. Labriola and Lujan are wrestling. It would have been,
Yeah.
we
we
would
would've
have
got
level midnight in
Green.
our flow mentions, and there's nothing. We would have been powerless. So Willie and I watched, and we had some jokes, but that was a pretty good duel. Otherwise, the reason you brought up Vince Foster was a really, really good match. Okay, any other questions before we depart? Any other thoughts? Things we didn't get to today? This is a pretty loaded show.
I like the question about what % chance do we see Pico next year at trials?
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So Pico
It's
put
worth
an
it. Worth the
Instagram
time.
video. Is that a question we got?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
I liked it so that I would remember it.
Thank you for liking it
good
and
job.
then remembering it because I didn't even see it. So Pico put out an Instagram video of him and Valentine, and he says our job's not done yet, or we'll be back together soon, or something like that.
And remember, they kind of had a little parting of ways after trials.
Yes,
The 2016 trials.
yes. And so that got me. I'm going to read exactly what we said. We've won many battles together. We are not finished, Coach. At Valentin Kalika. So I love that. Now the question is he going to do a Cejudo and just roll up to the trials? And well, he'll have to qualify for them. I don't think he will automatically qualify like Henry may have in 2012. I don't know if you remember that far back.
You know, and when Henry wrestled, he still had the skills. I don't think his heart was all into it.
Well, no. I mean, his training situation wasn't right. You know, he was at like Grand Canyon.
But
wrestling.
it did give us Oliver Simmons. Or not Oliver.
Oliver Cejudo?
Yeah, I was,
Or,
sorry, I was looking at
geez.
Jordan Oliver.
Cejudo.
Simmons, Nick Simmons, Rosario Cejudo, one of the best matches.
That was a really good match.
Yeah.
It was a really good match. So, but enough about Henry. Aaron, so if he wants to come back, what does he need to do? Does he need to pause MMA? Does he need to, how much tournaments? I hope it means we'll see a ramping up of his competition, right? I mean, if he wants to come back, it's because he wants to win the Olympics. If he wants to win the Olympics, he's going to have to compete, right?
He will have to, he'll have to wrestle he'll have to qualify, right? I mean, he'll have to go to like New York ACs or U.S. Open, right?
You would think. Now the question
He
for
showed up to
me,
U.S. Open.
is weight.
I know.
What weight class does he go?
On a 2-day?
143 gonna be hurt.
143 and a half back-to-back days. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a way, but it stinks. I don't know if he
And
can
we're
do
talking Olympics here, so the next one is 74.
And I don't think he's big enough for that. I mean, he ain't that Kyle Dake noise for Jordan Burroughs. I just don't think so. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's next level, but so I don't know. I really hope he comes back. People love Pico. We love Pico. He's the man. He's got a fight into the month, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They need to start giving him some. I know he lost his first match, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm ready for him to start getting some dudes. Like let him start climbing. Once he KOs this person, which I hope he does, then it's like, all right, start ramping it up for Cheeks. Okay. All right.
I forgot that was his nickname.
Anything else before we go?
No, I'm looking up his fight. I can't find it at the moment, but we'll see what his next fight is.
All right.
He's just hammering people.
Yeah. Liquefying spleens. Okay. We are ready to go. Thank you so much for listening. You can play the outro music. Friends in the control room, Caitlin and Chris. We will be back next Thursday. This Thursday, 2 days from now. We are so thankful to you for listening. We're thankful to A6 for their support of FloWrestling Radio Live and wrestlers around the world. Nomad, I don't know what you got on deck.
Who's number one tomorrow? We got Braxtrology coming. Maybe Hodge rankings. And Olympic redshirt criteria.
Oh, that's big. Olympic redshirt
So I'll
criteria.
have a list of
a
everyone
lot
who's
of
already
people
qualified.
are going to qualify for that.
Yes.
It's a large potential list of people who could get an Olympic. I say Tanner Hall. He
Shout
needs to
out.
read this article and get another year.
Real quick, shout out to Yankee Fan 33 on the Hawkeye Report forum for doing the lion's share of the legwork for me. I only got to do a little bit more. So whoever you are, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll mention you in the article.
Wow, even a Yankee fan. It's Willie. It's literally just thank Willie.
Thanks, Will.
All right, thanks guys. We'll be back Thursday. See you then.